What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button because that is the most important thing you can do for me on this channel. What it does is that it helps to make sure that those who are subscribed to the channel will indeed get the notifications, and it also helps to push this video through the YouTube algorithm. Secondly, if you're new to the channel, or maybe you've been ghost watching the channel for quite some time now, please do me a favor and yourself a favor by hitting the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And lastly, please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to inform your family and friends of this news and information. And that does also help to give me a slight boost in the YouTube algorithm as well. And with the introduction out of the way, let's now get into today's news. And what I want to talk about today is Tyson Foods. We're all familiar with the Tyson brand food and their chicken. I think that's what they're most popular for, is for Tyson brand chicken, right? There was a news story that broke from Bloomberg, if I'm not mistaken, maybe close to a week ago, that has now taken root and sprouted, and everybody's talking about it. And it's a story that came out of Bloomberg concerning Tyson, to which Tyson Foods allegedly has let go of thousands of American citizens to replace them with illegal immigrants. That's what the claim is, right? That's what people are running with from the Bloomberg story concerning Tyson Foods. And this story has gotten so much attention to the point to where people are saying they're going to boycott Tyson. And I stand with the boycotts of Tyson, and I will state why at the end of this video. So I'm definitely not mad at that. But people are saying they're going to boycott Tyson, and it's becoming a very big deal. So much so to the point that Tyson has now even released an official statement concerning its stance on illegal immigration and their hiring practices. So what I want to do right now is that I want to read off that statement to you so we can see what Tyson actually had to say in defense of themselves. And then what I want to do afterwards is I want to play a video from Bloomberg television where they actually discuss the inner workings of Tyson Foods and how they go about targeting and hiring Biden's migrants, right? Realistically speaking, illegal immigrants, how they go about hiring illegal immigrants over American citizens. So let's get into that. And as always, or as usual, if I remember, I'll make sure to link the statement in the description box below, as well as the video from Bloomberg television as well, so you can watch the video without my commentary if you'd like to do that. So let's get into the statement first. That's what I want to do first. And once again, this comes from Tyson Foods, right? And the statement reads as such: in recent days, there has been a lot of misinformation in the media about our company, and we feel compelled to set the record straight. Tyson Foods is strongly opposed to illegal immigration, and we led the way in participating in the two major government programs to help employees combat unlawful employment: E-Verify and the Mutual Agreement Between Government and Employees program. Since being founded in 1935 in Arkansas, Tyson Foods has created jobs and employed millions of people in states all across America. Today, Tyson Foods employs 120,000 team members in the U.S., all of whom are required to be legally authorized to work in the country. We have a history of a strong hiring practice, and anybody who is legally able is welcome to apply to open job listings, right? Now that sounds good. And one of the things that stood out to me is that they didn't refute the claim that they let go of a good deal of American citizens. They didn't refute that. That was never refuted. And that's a claim that many people have made on them, and they didn't refute that at all. They just got hyper technical and said, technically, we don't hire illegal immigrants, technically speaking. And we're also opposed to illegal immigration. But what they're not opposed to, apparently, is Biden's open borders, which has now turned into millions of illegal immigrants being able to participate in this asylum fraud, mass asylum fraud that's happening throughout the entire country, right? Now, what I want to do is let's get into the video clip from Bloomberg television. to where now we're going to get into the actual inner workings of Tyson Foods and how they are prioritizing Biden's migrants over American citizens. I want to get into that next. So let's jump into this video here.
Bloomberg's Simone Foxman is reporting on how meatpacker Tyson Foods is capitalizing on this inflow. And Simone, this is one of the stories that really got my attention this morning on the Bloomberg terminal. We know that critics of the White House talk about New York City migrants as illegal, but your story actually points out that they have work authorization. Walk us through what that means.
So these are asylum seekers or people applying for a very similar temporary protected status. So they apply for asylum and then they wait. But that application for asylum starts a ticking clock. And so most of them will have work authorization within 6 months. That said, they may wait for years for their very first immigration court date. And it's a good thing, frankly, for
I want to stop right there, and I apologize for cutting her off mid-sentence. We'll rewind it back just a little bit. But I just wanted to highlight this right here, is that, as you can see here, the company has 52,000 openings, hiring for a Tennessee plant, and Tyson Food already employs 42,000 immigrants. So out of 120,000 employees around the nation, right? As it says here in the statement, out of 120,000 team members, as it states, 42,000 of them are immigrants. 42,000 out of 120. I expect that number to grow as time moves forward. I'd say by probably most likely the end of this year, half of their employees are going to be immigrants by the end of this year.
A good thing, frankly, for them to be able to work. It doesn't mean that they're on social services provided by New York City or elsewhere. It means that they have papers, they can go get a job, be documented workers. And this, it turns out, is actually a pretty attractive source of potential workers for places like Tyson. So
she just said this is a pretty attractive potential source of workers for places like Tyson. All of Biden's migrants that are crossing the border illegally, participating in this mass asylum fraud, after 6 months, get their work authorization permits. And for companies like Tyson, this becomes a very attractive workforce. Why does it become a very attractive workforce? It becomes a very attractive workforce because when you're talking about Biden's migrants, because they're concerned with getting deported, what they aren't going to do is be like you uppity citizens, right? Who have all these expectations of a safe work environment, being treated with respect, receiving a fair wage, right? Biden's migrants aren't concerned with that. You can mistreat them. They can be in unsanitary, unsafe conditions. They can be lowballed in pay. And it doesn't matter because they're just simply focused on not being deported. So they don't have the same expectations as you uppity citizens, right? You uppity citizens have too many expectations. Biden's migrants don't. They're not going to call HR for anything, and they're not going to try and form a union to be treated just simply better, right? They're not going to do any of these things like you uppity citizens will. And this is exactly why this pool of potential employees are so attractive to places and plants and factories like Tyson Foods. That's exactly why.
Why does Tyson have these, what seems to be immense hiring demands?
So it has a turnover rate of 40%, meaning 4 in 10 of its workers every year on its what it calls its frontline workers, the folks who are, washing the chicken, looking for bones, packing it up into trays. Very few of them are going to stick around in the long term. So it needs to hire something like 52,000 people this year. It already employs about 42,000 immigrants and refugees, but it sees this part of the workforce as a particularly good one for immigrants. They like to stay. They've often come from very difficult situations, and so the company is really investing in a lot of services for them, whether it's English language classes, certain childcare services, to try and convince them, come stay. You may make only $16.50 an hour to start, but this is a good job.
And this
As an incentive, they're investing in programs and services for Biden's migrants. Here's my question. Why aren't they investing in services and programs for citizens of the United States so that they can relocate a lot more comfortably to Tennessee from New York? Why are they offering these things to Biden's migrants that they're not offering to U.S. citizens? So you're expected to take all this on yourself if you want to come out to Tennessee and work in one of these open positions. You have to fly out on your own dime, be moved out. You have to move out of from one situation to the next as it pertains to finding somewhere to live, right? You have to sell your property or maybe leave your apartment complex to find a new apartment somewhere in Tennessee that you have to apply for and go through the process of. And one of the things that they're leaving out, remember, Biden's migrants are homeless. Technically, they don't have a place to stay. So when Tyson Foods goes from Tennessee to New York City to recruit Biden's migrants, they're not just bringing them over to work, but some way, somehow, and I don't know how this is happening, but they're also providing them with living quarters. They're providing them with somewhere to live, whether they're paying for their apartment, they're subsidizing their rent, whatever the case may be. But remember, Biden's migrants in New York are technically homeless. So that means that their housing is being provided for in Tennessee as well as they're being relocated. Okay. And these are things that are not provided to American citizens. I'm pretty sure in New York City, they wouldn't have any problem finding employees and people who would like to relocate and start over again and go to Tennessee and work for Tyson Foods if they were being offered the same deal that migrants are being offered. But that's not the case. That's not what's going on here. If you want to go work in Tyson Foods in Tennessee, you have to fly in on your own dime and you got to find your own place to stay. We're not subsidizing any of that. But if you're one of Biden's migrants, it appears, in my opinion, that they're doing all of that for them, that which they won't do for you, the American citizen.
This is a stable job. I can't get my words out today. So you were at a Tyson fair in New York City not so long ago where Tyson was basically making this pitch. What did you observe when you went there?
Yeah, so this is a fair put on by Tent Partnership for Refugees. This is a foundation. It's backed by the founder of Chobani. And what they did is they went out, they created a database for these new asylum seekers in New York City specifically. They recorded all their documents. And so Tyson reached out to them. They went through their database. They went through the list, said, you meet the work authorization criteria, you want to relocate, and we think also that you'll meet our physical. So these people would come in, they'd learn a little bit about.
Once again, going back to relocate, how are these homeless migrants relocating? Who's paying for the relocation costs? Who's paying for their plane or train or bus ticket down to Tennessee from New York? Who's putting that down payment on the new apartment that they're moving into? Did they even have to apply for the apartment? Or was it just given to them? These are all things that you have to ask because, once again, technically they're homeless. So they're getting everything for free. Everything is being subsidized. I'm just asking questions. I don't know to be sure, but that's what it would be if these people are homeless and without work. Once again, they're being offered a tremendous deal that American citizens in New York City are not being offered.
The company, and for the most part, Tyson had already gone through their various details of their application. And so many of them, 17 the day I was there, and then another 70 a couple weeks later, went off to Tennessee to go start their new jobs as Tyson production workers.
So wrap this all up for us. How do these hiring programs play into the larger debate on immigration that's taking place, across our political society?
We said it earlier, illegal is a very charged term, right? Companies like Tyson have extraordinary hiring needs, and right now there's a shortage. There's 9 million open jobs. This, according to some reporting that Enda Curran and Augusta Saraiva did last week. These companies are going to look for workers as well as they can. They're going to start looking at this potential workforce of people who are here indefinitely with legal authorization to kind of fill those jobs legally. Now, what does this say about the system? Does it create perverse incentives? These are the kinds of questions that we need to asking ourselves. But, you know, if Congress is not able to move forward on this, this is the way things are going. And it looks like programs like this one are likely to become important to how these jobs get staffed.
Yeah.
So how, like as she just said, this is the way things are going. And programs like this one is an important way to how companies get staff. What you're looking at and watching right now are companies like Tyson, once again, making it a point to prioritize migrants, Biden's migrants, over American citizens. That's what you're seeing here, because they don't want to deal with your bouginess. They don't want to deal with your uppityness. They don't want to deal with your complaints and your expectations. So if I can bypass you to hire Biden's migrants, why wouldn't I do that? And at a cheaper rate too than what I would most likely have to pay you. Why wouldn't I do that? And we're going to continue to see this being exploited. Now, what can be done about this as it pertains to, I don't know, legislation or something like that? I really don't know. Maybe moving forward, some sort of cap should have to be put on companies, you know, where you can only hire X amount of migrants, you know, versus American citizens. But I highly doubt that that would ever happen. That's just not going to happen. So it'll be interesting to monitor this moving forward concerning Tyson and other companies as it pertains to their immigrant American citizen hiring kind of ratio, right? Their employee ratio. How many employees are migrants slash refugees slash asylum seekers versus American citizens? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this goes on moving forward. As far as Tyson is concerned, I won't be buying any Tyson products. You know, I won't be doing it, because the reality is that they're just gaming the system. They're gaming the system, and everything that's going on here. They're just taking advantage of all of it. There's this mass influx. Obviously, to date, there are 8 million illegal immigrants that have come into the country under the Biden administration. And that's not counting the 1.8 million gotaways. So we're really realistically looking at around 10 million illegal immigrants that have come into the country since Biden has been in office. And funny enough, what a coincidence, as they stated in Bloomberg television, currently to date in America, there are 9 million job openings, right? So we have 9 million job openings according to what they said on Bloomberg television. And surprise, surprise, coincidence, I'm sure it's just a coincidence, roughly around 10 million illegal immigrants have crossed the border. So I'll let you ponder on that and what you think that means. You know, I don't know. I'm just pointing things out. I'm just asking questions. I'm just presenting it to you. And I'll let you all have the final say in the comment section. So with that, thank you for watching today's video. That does it for today's news. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on your way out. Share this video on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below. It will also be pinned in the comment section as well. And until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.